We do have 5:30. Thank you to all the committee members who were able to attend and audience members. And I am going to call the meeting to order of the Park and Rec Committee of the City of Wausau for Monday, September 13th. Is there anybody from the public who would like to comment or make a suggestion for us today? Don't think so. We all staff. Approval of the minutes. I didn't see any issues. Anybody else see an issue or have a concern with the minutes? Motion by Neal, second by Watson. All those in favor say aye.
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 Sounds unanimous to me. Thank you. Discussion and possible action regarding the Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Department 2022 budget. Parks, the department head, Jamie Polly, will talk to us about that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I also have Mai Chua Vu here. She's our office administrative manager who helps me with the budget. So this is her first meeting. I wanted to introduce her to you. We've done a lot of work on this budget so far. And we have some good news from what I had given you. It's changed from what I have present to you today. So if you go into the summary that I have, I had originally had, when I put the packet out, we were submitting a budget that was 7.63% increase. We are down to a 5.7% increase instead of that. So we've got it down even further. And hopefully we got some numbers for the insurance stuff, but or the like liability insurance, auto insurance, that's still yet to be adjusted. The last 2 years, that made our budget decrease even more. Let's knock on wood that will happen again this year, but this is with what we've got so far. So with the 5.7%, it's a difference of $159,373 instead of that $213. And then just a couple of things that are included in the budget that I wanted to point out was the county. So the county kind of sets our personnel costs for our department. And then we were told to work in a 3% full-time wage increase this year for all full-time employees. And then right now we have a 6% increase worked in there for health and dental. That is still yet to be finalized. I think the city's in the same boat of finalizing theirs. So that's worked into that. Then I did include in this base budget the 0.6 recreation coordinator when I brought, and the 0.9 urban forestry specialist, which I brought to you a few months ago. And got the permission to include it in the budget. That's something you can discuss, but that is right now included in our base budget to add those two positions, the one at a 0.6 position, and the other one would be a full-time 0.9 to the city and 10 to the county. We also have some cost savings with these positions, so the total with the two was an addition to about $65,000 to the base budget. That's not the full price of those positions. We are able to work in some reductions from 3 other staff positions that are vacating and they are due to retirement. So those positions are at the high part of their pay scale. When we hire back, we'll hire back more towards the mid. So we have some cost savings there. And then with the addition of the 0.6 recreation coordinator, we are actually eliminating one of our seasonal assistant aquatic manager positions, which is close to a $7,000 savings, which was worked into that fee as well. I went through and I listed some other changes to the budget. Kind of the biggest changes was the $7,400 that we had to include for the elevator contract at Athletic Park. We have 3 elevators there, 2 full elevators and 1 lift. That contract keeps going up, and because they're exposed to the elements, those have been very expensive additions with the new pieces of Athletic Park. Then the other thing, we were able to buy a new recreation software last year with the CARES money, the $8,000. It's an increase, but actually it's not an increase. I actually should have tweaked that. $8,000 is the total cost to the city for that, and the county has the $8,000. But we were paying, I think it was like $1,300 or $1,600 for the old software, so it's the 81 minus that amount is the difference that we're adding this year. But it's a much more efficient software. We can get a lot more registrations through it. It's much more user-friendly, easier to use. A lot more things can be done online rather than having them come into the office. We have some slide repair maintenance that was the same as last year. We got an increase from the water department to include in there of $3,000. I won't go through each one, but one of them that we added this last year at a request from working with the homeless task force was the $3,000 porta potty we added to Woods and Park. It has made a difference for the cleanliness of the park, and the people there are using it, but it's something that we work into the budget and we don't get any revenue back from it. Unlike our other facilities where we put out porta potties, we get user fees back. This is one we don't, so that's included in there. And then we've seen quite a bit of an increase in just our parts. We have a lot more equipment that has, needs diagnostics, has computer chips, so the pricing is going up in just the maintenance costs of some of our equipment, as well as, lumber and plumbing and electrical supplies. Hopefully with the construction and everything with the economy, that will eventually come back down, but we did put an increase in there. The big increase then to it, which is a discussion point that I want you to discuss tonight, is so with the finding of the emerald ash borer here in the city last year, the committee, reviewed the plan with our park forester and came up with a plan that lengthened it out from what his original plan was to that 12 to 15 year time frame. And in that, the goal is that all ash trees will be removed. We will have, over time, treated our ash trees in increments down of what was left to get them through that 15-year cycle, and then it includes planting. So he put some numbers to that. And in the first couple of years here, with the number of trees we have and the number of trees yet to treat, the actual cost to do it on that time frame would be to have that budget line item go from $107,000 to $251,000, which is a substantial increase. Worked with him, we cut that back this year to $63,000 as an increase specifically for the emerald ash borer plan. That is something, it's number 2 as an item that I would like the committee to discuss as to whether to keep it at 63 for this year and just work with, basically we just work with what we've got. If we don't want that 63 and we want to put it back to what we had, it's just going to put that plan out longer than that 15 years. Even if we put it just at 63 instead of the full budget of 251, we're kind of delaying the process, but it will at least get us closer, to getting that plan manageable. So we did increase that amount, but not the full amount. And then we did.
Do you want to discuss that now, or do you want to discuss both of those at the same time?
Let's go and discuss both of them at the same time.
Okay.
So, and then the base revenue budget, we did increase our revenues by $22,000. And then just wanted a side note that $38,000 and the $53,000 for an FTE, which I don't have in this thing, in this overall budget. That was one of the things we had in our existing budget, and we backed it out, was a FTE position that was allocated to River Life when we built River Life. Last year had been moved out of the general fund and moved into the River Life fund, or the room tax fund. When we originally gave you the 7.63%, that wage was included in there, so that helped when we backed that out, because that does go to the room tax fund, along with our maintenance contract that we have for all of River Life and for the Whitewater Park, all along the river. So that's a separate budget. It's not included in here, but those are the items we give to Mary Ann to put into that room tax fund. And then the other thing that is included in this base budget is there's been a desire or comments to try to increase this pool season. So Mark Darrow is also here. He's our recreation superintendent. He's going to go over the pool report at the end too. But one of the things we talked about is he has in this base budget to keep one pool open for an extra 2 weeks, staffing allowing us to do so. With that, though, we'll increase our expenditures by $12,500, and we can increase our revenues, we guesstimate, by about $3,700. So when I bring this budget forward. We'll still tweak it with some of the things, but two of the main items I wanted discussion from the committee was whether or not we keep the expenditures and the revenues in there for trying to keep the pools open, one pool open for 2 more weeks, or whether we should stick to our schedule that we've had. We can't have all 3 open for 2 weeks. We just don't have the staffing to do so. We possibly could do 1. But the revenue doesn't really offset the expenditures to extend it. And then the discussion of the Emerald Ash Borer Management Plan, which, like I said, we will do as much as we can with the budget we have, and we will keep on a plan. But I wanted you to understand what those true costs really are. Mai, did I miss anything?
Nope, captured it.
Okay.
Very good. Why don't we take 1 and 2 on those points, and one is the keeping one pool open. I imagine we would keep Memorial Pool open 1 year and Schulenburg the next year and Kaiser the next year unless there are mitigating circumstances.
The only thing that would not keep Memorial Pool open longer is if we continue to do the doggone pool party there.
Oh, yeah.
Because once we have the dogs in, we can't keep it running. I don't know that we've looked at it at another pool, but that's something we could think about.
Yeah. The doggone pool party is held on the day after the last day that kid swimmers go in. So then after the dogs are in there, they can just drain it, pull the plug.
Right.
But I don't know about you people, but I get complaints every year that there's several weeks of summer left and the pools are closing. So I think this is a modest expense to kind of meet that concern and complaint, frankly. Thoughts? Alder?
Which one is more centrally located? I mean, if you decided to just keep one open or,
That'd probably be Kaiser, wouldn't it?
Probably. Yeah, it's in the middle of the two. One's far west, one's far east, so.
Yeah.
I mean, if you decided to not rotate and just keep one open, I'm in favor of keeping one open if we could do that, But what would be best if you would have rotated or just keep Kaiser as the centrally located one,
That's a good question.
Yeah, I think, I don't know that we need to choose which pool we want to open each year. I think what we need to do is probably look at what our maintenance schedule is, or if there's anything that with any of the pools that, needed to be done, we can work on rotating them or try to keep them all centrally located, but if 1 year Kaiser needed some work where we needed to get in there a little earlier, then we would choose a different pool, but we can keep that in mind.
So we're looking at about $9,000 net.
Expenditures.
Yeah. Other thoughts? No problem. Is there a motion to do that? Alder Larson?
I will make the motion then that we extend the season by whatever, 2-3 weeks for one pool.
And designate staff to decide which the most logical one to is
Exactly.
to keep open.
And designate the staff to.
Very good. Second for that one? Alder Neal? Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you very much. I'll ask for the nays. Hearing none, thank you very much. Emerald Ash Borer, it seems like this might be a case where we wouldn't really mind if some of those ash trees could hang around a little longer. I'm wondering if by extending the time that we treat the trees, spending less each year, if we're actually going to end up spending more. Did you calculate that one?
No, I don't know that.
Is it cheaper to just bite the bullet and go for it, or?
I don't know. I think that's hard to predict knowing what the services are going to cost over the
Oh.
years. I mean, usually it gets more expensive as years go on, but with the additional urban forestry specialist too, we can do more in-house as well, which might make our dollars go further. So we haven't, the only thing that may cost a little more in my guesstimation, I'm just guessing right here, is the treatment, because we'll treat longer, a number of
Yeah.
trees, but the removals and the plantings should stay roughly the same cost, and we have a set amount of trees, so that's not really gonna change.
So you mentioned 170 and was it 163? Or 63 or? I can't-
Well, so our base budget that we've had in our budget for the last couple of years has been $107,000. That's the amount we.
107.
107, that's what we allocate for this work now. So this budget, we're bringing forward to actually add 63,000 to that 107, for 170 is the total.
And you feel that's more realistic and But
Yes, I feel it's basically reducing the number of trees we remove in this next year by 100, and reducing the number of trees we plant by 50. And then we treat the same number of trees that we had planned, which is still the same number Andy had, our forester had allocated. So it's not reducing any treatment amounts, it's just reducing the removals and the plantings by a bit.
Okay, I think that our current plan to finish up in 12 to 15 years was extending an earlier plan, so Alder Neal, I think you had some things to say about that the first time around.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd be in favor of, as long a time frame as possible to have a less noticeable, more gradual transition for aesthetic purposes. If we kind of front-end load it too much, it could be too noticeable and get on people's nerves a little bit. So I'm in favor of, if it's feasible, to stretch it out.
The sound of chainsaws out in the front of your house,
The only thing I do want to just point out is, with the emerald ash borer, the bugs are in the tree, and they are in usually the tree for about 4 years before you see a major notice of decline. I mean, you'll see decline, but then it could be, by putting it out longer, we run the risk of seeing more of a
like a spike.
faster decline and dead canopy where we have to address it. We have to address it, we can't push off anymore, but I think our forester has a pretty good plan with the treatment of, and we're not, like I said, we're not reducing the treatment of any trees, so I think it's okay to go this route and to, keep moving at a steady pace, we'll have to just keep an eye, and then if, we see a major area that's got decline and it's out of our budget, we'll have to come back to you for that discussion. But we haven't seen that so far.
Is that a recommendation from you, Ms. Polly?
No, well, what I'm recommending is our base budget, so what is included there is what I'm recommending, but I just wanted to point out that, we don't know with this disease, with these bugs, how much damage they can show at a given moment. So our staff's on it though, so we'll continue to do what we can, and we just have to watch how fast the trees
So
are
would it be
declining.
appropriate then to make a motion to stay the course?
I think your motion would be to favor the budget as proposed at 170,000, keeping in mind that they calculated that if we wanted them to stick with the original schedule, it would cost us another 80 grand a year.
Okay,
So
that would be my motion.
your motion would be to adopt and recommend staying with 170,000 that's currently proposed in the
Correct.
budget.
Yes.
Second on that one? Mr. Killian, seconds. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? None. None are unanimous. We're rolling. Do you have any announcements for us regarding our city forester?
Oh, I do. Our city forester is being promoted to the Assistant Director of Operations, who Greg is, who is currently our Assistant Director of Operations, retiring October 7th. So Andy Sims has been promoted to that position. He will effectively take on that role October 11th, and we will shortly be posting our city forester position again. But Andy will still be in the department and be able to get somebody brought up to speed on all of this. So,
I think Andy did a very good job. I was particularly impressed with when we had the Earth Day thing out on Fern Island, the way he organized that and set it up, and that turned out to be a very nice event, so good job on him. Do you want a overall nod on the budget, or do you have more to say about that?
Nope, yes, if there's any other concerns or questions about the budget, before we bring it officially, I mean, it's been submitted to Mary Ann, but we can still submit some changes, so I guess this is the time where I'm bringing it forward to you as to what we've got included in it, and any other comments you might have.
Any other comments about the budget? Want to spend more on skateboards or whatever? Then I guess a motion would be in order to convey to Mary Ann and the Finance Committee our support for the budget as it's been submitted.
Okay, great, thank you.
Alder Neal, Alder Kildee, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye for me, unanimous again. Thank you for your passage.
Thank you.
What else we got?
Then the next item is the tour.
I'm going to go to 5, discussion possible action.
Mm-hmm.
Parks tour, thoughts on that? You want to make any remarks? Maybe
Yeah.
say a little bit about what the county has done?
Sure, so this was kind of brought up to the Parks Committee a few months ago, and I don't know, when Chair Peckham and I were talking about the agenda, we weren't quite sure we got a clear answer, I guess, of what we should do. So it had been brought up a few times of taking a tour of the city parks. We do this on the county side. We've taken a tour of the county parks, I think twice now, and then we've taken a tour of the county forest. In that case, we do it like a 9 to 3 on a given day, and we get a bus, we get lunch, and we have kind of a itinerary for the day of where we're going to go. I recall when we talked about it with the committee, you know, there were some concerns maybe of a full day activity, and then we did at that point decide to meet at Brockmeyer Park that one night for JoJo's, and we talked about maybe having some meetings at some different parks. But I just wanted, I guess, to throw it out to get more of a clearer direction. Is this something that you are interested in, that we can organize or look at some dates for, or should we wait until maybe next summer and look at it again? More discussion from the committee.
I had some just introductory thoughts. I think the park tour on the county side is good, but I don't think we'd need anything that extensive. I think we might be able to do with the van and 2 or 3 hours. And maybe, I know there's at least one park I've never been to. That's on the west side, but there are parks on the east side that I'm betting there are half the people have never been to. There's one way up on Markwart Road that is just sitting there, and it's a very nice park, and people outside that immediate neighborhood don't know about it very much. Anyway, I think it would be a good idea and well worth our time. We'd have to figure out whether we want to try to do it yet this fall, and whether or not we're comfortable, I guess, getting a city van. Alder Neal.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Just one thought. You know, this is, we have an election coming up in the spring. And I, for one, won't be running again, so I'm a short timer. It seems to me this would be a very valuable thing for an incoming committee, rather than possibly outgoing, partially anyways, committee. So that's just my thought on that.
Good point. Other thoughts? Maybe schedule it for May?
May, orientation meeting?
Yeah, I think it'd be good. We are thinking of having the October meeting would be after that new trail section dedication. So you would have that at Riverside Park on, what is it, October 4th, I guess.
Yep.
It's also the date for my next chemotherapy. Anyway, so any other suggestions, or I think that's a good one. Okay, we don't need to vote on that. We can just have staff consider that and maybe bring it up with the new crew, whoever it may be. Very good. In the meantime, if anybody wants to take it upon themselves to do a parks tour, feel free. There are new changes that you are able to hear about. So you want to run through, Ms. Polly, the park update? Maybe you can tantalize us to all stop over at 3M and see the new Hydra or whatever the thing is, Cyclops.
Yeah, it's the Hydra. Yeah, that would be great. And actually, Mr. Killian and I were talking before the meeting that it might be nice to have like a small ribbon cutting at that playground sometime soon. We've been so busy, and we have, with these playgrounds, we've been coordinating with Public Works. They've been gracious to help us with the paving of the trails to the playgrounds, because now any playground put in after 2016 requires an accessible trail also to be ADA accessible. And some of these parks had never had a trail, the ones we've done recently. But with everybody's schedule and the way things have been, we've been waiting on that, so we haven't really done ribbon cuttings for any of the new playgrounds yet. They've kind of just been open.
Would the trail be from the parking area to the play equipment?
Yes, this one, yep, it's I think it might be already be in. The trail should have been in, but it should be the parking lot more towards the, I guess, the north side of the parking lot, straight to the playground.
Okay.
Yep. So we do have playground updates. Forest Park Playground is one that we, put in last year, but the paving of the trail should be done. I believe it was supposed to be done last week. And then we have a little library that the neighborhood made that will go in as well. But the Port in Place portion that was scheduled to go in there, and the playground itself is done. Pleasant View Park, which has been ongoing also, finally got their trail. Now there's just some turf renovations there. That park is in. And I have let the donors know, the Jablonski Foundation that donated $20,000 towards that park. I have let them know. They have people kind of from all over the U.S. that are on their foundation, so they may be back in town when the Birds and Art is going on, and we might set something up when they're in town, but I'm waiting to hear from them. And then 3M Park is our newest, probably coolest park. We just opened Marathon Park's brand new playground, which is really neat as well. So we have quite a few options for kids. But the 3M Park is the Hedra model. It's the first playground from Landscape Structures of that kind in the state as of right now. There's 2 more going in the southern part of the state yet this fall. But we are the only one. It's a lot of different areas, so if you can get out there, we have some turf renovations, but everything else should be done there. So I can reach out and maybe Lou and Tom, since those are your kind of areas, maybe we can set something up for a date that we just want to have some cookies and invite the public and get the word out. We're working on memorial benches. We've got several bench pads and bench frames to install. It's kind of picked up this year. It's interesting. We have one gentleman who came in and I think has 2 or 3 benches for family members who have passed away from COVID. So they're coming in that way. Sylvan Recreation, Snowmaking, Mechanical, last year we got another snow gun to help us with that operation, so there was some work that needed to be done that they're working on there. Athletic Park, we've got postseason maintenance to do. We do a lot of work to the field at the end of the season, so there's less work for us to do at the beginning of the season, but the construction there has all been completed as well. And then we're still working on our ADA corrections that we have to. This is going to be an ongoing process from the ADA plan that was done, but we're working on it. I wanted to update on the DOT site that a few of us walked after the last meeting for the potential of a dog park there. You can maybe shed some light on what you felt when we were there too, but right after that meeting I got a call from our highway commissioner who was concerned with the snow storage. That's a really big snow storage area for the highway department when they clear off the main highways over the winter. And then I got a follow-up email from the Wisconsin DOT with the same concerns, as well as they had some major concerns with not necessarily the snow going over the sides of the overpass, but ice buildup and icicles dropping. So in their recommendation or requirement is if we were to move forward, they would have a zone underneath the overpasses that would not, that would have to be closed during the winter, which actually would cut off, you know, the whole circle, the whole trail part of it, because they cross in different areas. So if we were to move forward with that site, it's still a possibility, but it would be a spring, summer, fall site and not a winter site. So it's still on, it still could be used for that. There is some work that needs to be done, more fencing than we thought. When we walked the site, we realized that there isn't fencing where the railroad comes in. It's on the other side of the railroad, so we would have to add a little bit. And then there's no fencing right up to the highway. It's the guardrails, but, you know, a dog could, if they ran all the way up the hill, which is quite a ways, but they still could, they could get onto the highway. So we would have to add some more fencing. There would be some additional cost there, but it's still a possibility. Mr. Peckham added that we will have a grand opening. The city planning department is putting together a grand opening of that Thomas Street trail section for October 4th at 3:30. And I believe that the bike polo group will be there to do a demonstration, right?
Yes, I've confirmed that with them, so. So we'll have 3:30 grand opening for the trail section, and at 4, we'll have a bike polo demonstration, and then at 4:30, we'll have a park and rec meeting.
At Riverside Park.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
And these grand opening ceremonies, where would they be at? Would they be at Riverside Park as well?
I think that if there's going to be a ribbon cutting or whatever it would be, I think it would be right on Thomas Street.
On Thomas Street,
the
where it
and
goes down?
where there's the sign.
Okay, thank you. But
Apparently, I don't know exactly what happened, but apparently somebody may have been waiting for somebody else to plan what was going to be on the sign, and it didn't get.
I would just like to clarify where the meeting place, where the actual ribbon cutting would be. It's not,
It'd be in the south end of the new section,
Right.
right
Right
adjacent
on
to Thomas Street.
right,
Yep.
thank you.
The holdup, it would have been held, you know, early summer or something. But I think Public Works was saying we need the sign, you know, let's get the sign hung first and then do it. And it turns out that the sign is just now being designed,
And, Mr. Chair,
finished up, yes.
on that note, what will the sign say? Do we know that at this point?
Yeah, it's going to be an overview map of the River's Edge Trail and the segments that are in place, and then I believe, what they're working on. It's part of the master plan that the planning department had been working on the last couple of years. You know, they had the master plan done by a consultant. So they'll take that trail in there and they'll identify, you know, future trail segments, but it will basically be a map that says, you know, you are here, and then people could see where they can go along the river.
And will the trail name and on the sign, will that be consistent with the lofty name that's been put on that gateway area just west of the Thomas Street Bridge? Is it called?
River's Edge Trail?
Yes.
Yes, that's where it should say, yes.
It's going to be part of that system. If
Yeah.
you do have additional questions or input, Brad Lenz is finalizing the sign.
Yes, I will speak with Mr. Lenz because I think it would be nice, as, you know, I talked with the mayor about this at some time in the past, that I know other neighborhoods have had some input and participation into what they're labeled. And so, you know, that would be, I think, positive to have some involvement from the community there and what they're called. And I know that, you know, for the sake of obviousness, as it's in our packet, you know, we call it Thomas Street Trail Grand Opening, not, what was that other lofty name, Miss Polly? That's
The
on.
River's Edge Trail. so
Yeah,
it should be.
no one, yeah, that's the Thomas Street neighborhood, and everyone knows that it is, so it might be, just for the sake of logic and some sort of community spirit, that we talk to Mr. Lenz about that. Thank you.
Yeah,
Feel free.
I think the way that we should refer to that, it's all the River's Edge Trail, and it's part of the master plan, but there's gonna be segments, so that this would be the Thomas Street segment, or the Riverside Park segment, or the River Life segment, you know, there's different segments. I
Cool.
can pass that on to him as well.
Thank you, Miss Polly.
Very good. Your thoughts on that? I think be nice to see a little bike polo action, and those guys kind of do their thing in anonymity, and this might get them a little exposure. Interesting story behind how they got going, and so kind of neat. If Ms. Polly would like to continue, we can
Yeah,
go from there.
just a few more, just put it on here that, just for information, Brooks has closed for the season. They closed Labor Day weekend, and it was because of the seasonal staffing issue that they had. They didn't have enough staff to continue operating it, or all of their other locations at their hours that they had, so this is the one that got closed down for now, and we will be working, our staff is working to try to keep the bathrooms open during the normal hours they would have been open. So I'll follow up, make sure that's happening. And then we just have routine operation, EAB work. We're kind of now in the process of getting everything ready for the winter, and actually we are starting to make ice already at the ice arena this week. So
Oh, well,
we're cleaning out from the art festival and getting ready for ice to come in rink one, so. Starts early.
very good. That's all you got for that?
Yep.
Very good. Riverside Park testing update. We wanted to save a slot in case Mr. Lindman had anything for us, and they haven't really gotten that REI to Public Works, and then Public Works developing something to give to us, so next month. Swimming pool season review.
Mr. Chair.
Pardon? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One quick question. I see that the date, it didn't quite make it by the September 10th date, and would it be possible when staff does receive that, just to see that committee members receive it as well, so that we have some time to look over it before our next Parks meeting?
Sure.
Thank you.
You want to ask Eric to do that?
Yep.
Very good. So the longest project ever is talking about. Anyway, swimming pool season review, you like to do that, or you like to delegate that?
I'm going to ask Mr. Doro to come up to the microphone and kind of give an overview, and you can ask him. He did a lot of new things this year. He came in kind of right before the pool season and worked with, he'll talk about the staffing, a little bit difficult staffing, but did some really neat changes, I think, within the department that were good for our staff, and some.
Sounds like a season of learning and a little experimentation and some good ideas going in, so
Yeah.
take it away, sir.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time today. So kind of going through our staffing and training, over notes, we came in this season with, we lost about 70% of our returning staff from 2019, due to taking 2020 off. A lot of other people went and got jobs. And then there was also a lot of people that aged out, moved out from college and moved on as normal. We did hire on 38 new lifeguards and 14 new concession workers. We did a lot of classes, ran 3 lifeguard classes, one in April, one in May, and then another one in June after the pools had opened to get final numbers for lifeguards so we could open up the pools as much as possible. We also did 2 recertification classes to get our lifeguards from 2019 up to date with their certifications, because a lot of them had lapsed without being able to get in the pool in 2020. So total 26 lifeguards were trained, and we renewed 26 lifeguards, for the entire spring and summer season. So our schedule, we did start out the season having Schulenburg and Memorial closed 2 days a week for open swim until we could get our June lifeguard class completed and onboard those new staff. That June lifeguard class, we had 16 lifeguards. It was a free class, and we had a huge turnout with 21 people signing up within the 2-week span. So it was amazing to see that turnout for a lifeguard class. And once we were able to onboard that staff, we were able to open up the schedule more and only have one pool closed for only 1 day for open swim. We were able to continue the entire time to have swimming lessons at all 3 pools Monday through Friday, and to be open both days on the weekends until we got to that point. This year, we decided to start open swim 30 minutes earlier than previous years to give more time. We decided a 12:30 start was better than the 1 o'clock. People are trying to get into the pools earlier. So we made that change, and that went over very well. We did add lap swim in the mornings to the Schulenburg pool. That pool does have 3 lap lanes that aren't very, it's hard to find time to let, the public be able to swim laps without kids swimming around in the open swim. So it was nice to offer that in the mornings to the public to go and swim laps. And we did have really good feedback from the people opening up that in the mornings. We did also add evening swimming lessons at Memorial Pool on Monday, Wednesday nights. And those swimming lessons filled up right away. We did add 2 or 3 classes and added a couple teachers to be able to accommodate the wait list for those swimming lessons. So that was a big turnout and a big need for having those evening swimming lessons for people that can't take their kids, during the week, Monday through Friday. And then at the end of the year, we did close Memorial Pool on August 7th and then Schulenburg Pool on August 8th. A Memorial Pool did have the doggone pool party on the 8th of August as well to close out their season. And then Kaiser stayed open 1 more week to August 15th. And then we were closed for the season for all 3 pools. The different events that we held this year, so we hosted the Splash into Safety Day that we work in cooperation with the Safe Kids of Marathon County to promote water safety, and they provide life jackets for all the participants. We limited that to 50 kids this year due to COVID and trying to keep our crowds down, and we maxed out at the 50. It was a very hot day, great weather. We had an amazing turnout. And this year I was able to get the YMCA, we got the Weston Aquatic Center, the Merrill Public School System, along with the Sheriff's Department and the EMS and Fire Department to participate in that. So we had a good community turnout with other people that was nice to see that cooperation and that shared interest into the water safety for the kids of this community. Then the other event was the Doggone Pool Party. That was, we had about 20 participants and multiple people, or out of those 20 participants, they could have multiple dogs. So we had anywhere from, 25 to about 35 dogs during that event. In the future, I would like to go back to hosting 2 separate sessions once we get, so we can get a little bit more people and spread out the dogs a little bit, because it can get chaotic during that. So. And then we also had the library swim day where kids can come show their proof of library card and get in for free. During that day, we had about 250 kids and people in attendance at the pools on that day, so it was a good day for that. Rentals this year, we had 6 total private rentals for our swimming pools. I feel that in the future we can market and promote some more rentals than 6. But the high demand times are usually in the evenings for those, and our pools do not have lights, so it's hard to get those in after the open swim time of 7:50 because we push that open swim up until as far as we can for the public. Swimming lessons this year, we went up drastically. We had 506 total students in our swim lesson program. That was up from 336 in the past. Talking to other aquatics, professionals in our they also saw an uptick. I think it was a year wait, and a lot of kids were behind in their swimming lesson skills and getting those lessons in. It was, a lot of parents felt the need to get their kids in and get them caught up on what they had missed out in over the last year. But it was a great turnout, and we're hoping to use that momentum to build on our program in the future summers. The other thing we added for lessons was adult lessons this year, and that went over fairly well as also, and we were able to run our class for that, and we did that on Sunday evenings. Pool passes this year, we had 382 youth passes and 240 adult, with a 622 total. That was down slightly from 2019, where we sold 625. So only 3 passes different. It was very similar to our 2019 season. So then overall season takeaway and recommendations I had was to, I do predict in the future difficulty staffing in upcoming years as well with the rising wages in the private sector. I'd like to offset this by, me and Jamie are trying to find access to an indoor facility throughout the winter that we can continue to train lifeguards and keep them vested throughout the winter time, so that way we can keep them on staff and be able to grow that staff throughout the winter seasons and head into the spring with more lifeguards. Closing the pools the 1 day a week, we did not get much negative feedback, if any, from the public on that. And it did work out well for our staff to be able to get in and do the maintenance in the pools. And in the future, if we did that again, I would find ways to offer private parties during that time and other activities and programs that I feel that we could add to our pools that would also then take less staffing, but offer other recreational opportunities and other programs that our public would be interested in. Some of those programs that I would like to add in, if we can, is a recreational swim team at Schulenburg, utilizing our 3 lap lanes. We could, a junior lifeguarding program, which is a great program to foster kids to be interested in lifeguarding and to help to build that staffing once they become the age to take that lifeguard class. Swim aid classes, where we can train future swim instructors, and then also have them come in aid our classes in helping out as a volunteer base for our swim instructors that we have. Aqua Zumba, deep water aerobics, some water fitness classes I think would be really nice to bring in the summer. We do them in the winter, but we don't have any options right now for water fitness in the summers. And then youth diving. We have one of the only diving boards in the city, in the area, local area, for swimming pools, and I think that'd be cool to offer a youth diving class for kids. So those are kind of my recommendations for future seasons and kind of a review of the 2021 pool season. So
Very good. I like the ability and willingness to flex and respond to needs as they came up. Any other comments or questions? Everybody's happy.
all right, well, thank you for your time today.
Very good.
Good job, Mark.
Do you have more on the EAB, or did we do that?
I don't have much more. I mean, I just got some numbers to give you an update where we are currently at with EAB and what we've done this year. So we will, like I said earlier, kind of continue on that road.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
perhaps maybe parcel this, maybe our next meeting or the one thereafter. Maybe a report, just a summary of EAB elsewhere, like in the region, in the state, or surrounding states, that kind of thing. Just, what's the baseline, where are we going? And is it ramping up, or is it, ebbing, or what? So
Sure.
that'd be good.
Yeah, we can see if we can find
Thanks.
it. Yep.
That's a good point, and she mentioned something I hadn't considered, is that it could spike, the spread of it, and all of a sudden, holy, we got it everywhere now, so, yeah. And I'm sure there are lessons being learned there, too. Okay, future agenda items, we'll be talking next time about the fee schedule.
Yep.
Anybody got anything right now that, yes, or?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I received some compliments toward the city about the way that the kayak launch was done down by Wow on the riverfront there, and some interest and inquiries on how difficult that may be to reproduce in other areas. The community member that had brought it to my attention asked about something perhaps comparable at Fern Island. Is that the issue of those kayak launches and what it would take to kind of reproduce something like that in other areas? Is that something we could just talk about for discussion?
I'm sure we could. Are you talking about the one under the bridge? Or the one right in front of Wow? The wharf?
Yes,
The wharf?
the wharf, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can give an update on where our kayak launches are, which ones are ADA, where a possible another one is going in at DC Everest Park, actually. So I can give an update on kayak launches.
That would be great, thanks.
Very good. Good facility, and I know people appreciate a little more ease in getting into the boat without getting knee-deep in water. Mr. Neal?
Sure, another possible future item. I guess as a symptom of COVID, naturally last year, and maybe this year, we did not have the performance stage down at Kickbush Plaza. And, going forward, it'd be nice if that was reinstated. We've got the infrastructure, we got the electric, we have the stanchions for canopy and all that. So it'd be nice to have that back, in the mix. And then if that were the case, then next year we could, be nice to maybe get some media coverage of it to, reinstigate some interest.
So I will talk to
Bus events? at Sandra?
Downtown River District.
Oh, River
Blake.
District.
So
Okay.
actually, we get the direction from Blake as to whether to put that out each
Oh,
year,
okay.
because he's the one who programs it.
Mhm.
So he told us not to put it out this year.
What do you mean programs it?
He's going to schedule, well, it's open for free mic, but then they also schedule it with some performers down
Sure.
there as well.
Yeah,
So we actually took, and they're the ones who helped fund the stage itself and the canopy. So, yeah, we didn't put it out at their direction this year, so I can reach out to Blake
Yeah.
and see what and give an update and see what his future plans are for that.
yeah. I mean, that's kind of cultural infrastructure that I think we should endeavor to encourage.
Okay,
Ms. Polly,
yep.
I don't know if this would be something I would talk to you after the meeting or not, but last time I was down on the 400 block for a concert there, I noticed the stage, the base of the 400 block stage is getting in pretty disrepair. If that'd be something we would need to talk about, or would that be something I would need to talk to you about, just getting fixed after
Yeah,
the meeting?
just bring those things if you see anything. I mean, our staff's probably aware of it, but bring it to my attention and I'll make sure it gets
I'll-
on our general maintenance list.
I'll chat with you after the meeting.
Okay.
Do we have the key motion of the evening? Alder Neal has moved to adjourn. Is there a second? Second by Larson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous.